This was released to theaters early in the year, but now you can stream it on Netflix. So hopefully it will gain a wider audience there. Let's talk about the Book of Clarence. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the recent film, The Book of Clarence. This is now streaming on Netflix, and it's directed by James Samuel, who has another Netflix original film from a few years ago called The Harder They Fall. It was very well received. I enjoyed it. This is his second feature film, then, so right on the heels of that one. It is a biblical comedy, drama, romance, satire. It's trying to wear a lot of hats, and we'll get into all of that here shortly. But first, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day I post something new, so there's always a lot to check out. With that in mind, please consider subscribing, hit that like button, comment below, share it on your socials, all that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. And you can check out my Letterboxd as well. If you're unfamiliar with Letterboxd, it's a great platform for writing reviews of movies and charting what you've watched and rating them and making different lists and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So my profile on there is in the description below. All right, so let's talk about the Book of Clarence. James Samuel, who, by the way, happens to be the brother of Seal. I just learned that today. Seal, the very popular singer. This guy also attempted a music career, about 10 or 15 years ago. Didn't really take. He dabbled a little bit in some things, and I think he may have struck up a friendship with Jay-Z while being one of the music producers for The Great Gatsby with Leo DiCaprio, because Jay-Z, did a lot of the music for that, and he is one of the producers of this film. So they may have struck up a friendship there. But anyway, he figured out, I guess, music is not for him, and so he went the film route. So this movie is, like I said, it's trying to do a lot of things, but essentially it's Lakeith Stanfield who is starring as Clarence here, and it takes place in 33 AD Jerusalem, and Clarence is down on his luck. He is a slave, and he wants to capitalize on the name of Jesus Christ. Very, very, current figure in that time. And he claims to be a new Messiah sent by God in order to, try and free himself of debt and start a life of glory. And so this story is in 3 chapters, or 3, quote unquote books. So you've got the 13th Apostle, the new Messiah, and the crucifixion. And as you'll see with a lot of movies like this, when you sort of break it up into those chunks, one may be a little bit weaker than the others, and that might be the case here too. But this movie also features Omar Sy, Anna Diop, R.J. Seiler, David Oyelowo, Alfre Woodard, and supporting performances from James McAvoy and Benedict Cumberbatch, among others. So yeah, this movie is really trying to do a lot. So let's start there. I do believe, look, Lakeith Stanfield, he is always really engaging on the screen, and he really makes this movie pop. Whatever, works about this movie, I think it largely rests on his shoulders, and he does a great job here with the material. But as for the comedy, let's start there, I guess. I think a lot of it is either very biblical specific, like, some of the satire stuff, and they're sort of comparing, okay, here's the biblical story and how it's relevant to today, and we've seen that before, in many different forms. But this seems pretty specific to, like, okay, you need to at least have some kind of working knowledge of biblical stories to, I think, really get what they were going for here. I think you could still probably enjoy the movie without that, but I don't think it would come off as poignant, or, I think the satire might miss you a little bit if you didn't. Now, obviously, we've gotten, biblical stories from, everybody from The Simpsons to, Monty Python stuff. So I think it's pretty common knowledge about some of this stuff. But if you're not up on it, I feel like maybe some of that might miss you. And then the general comedy of this, it's not all that funny. I can see what they're going for. You can see the way somebody says a certain line, or with sort of a wink and a nod, that okay, this is what they're going for. Did I laugh during this movie? A little bit, but it was more like, oh, okay, that's kind of a clever, play on words or something. It's more that type of humor. The romance, I could take or leave that in this. I thought it was okay. But it didn't really bring me in anymore to the story. Sure, we're following the plight of Clarence, and what he's doing, in his quest here, but the romance for me fell a little bit flat. I'm not sure if maybe they didn't devote enough time to it. That could have been part of the issue. But yeah, I think this movie is kind of like fair on all levels. Like, it's not necessarily bad, and I can definitely see what they were going for. It's certainly ambitious. I will give it that. I don't know that it's completely new material, really, because like I said, we've seen so much, satirization of biblical stories and relating it to present day, and all of that kind of stuff over many, many years, that I can't say that part is new, but I will say that I think this is an ambitious film, and I do have to give it credit for that. And in terms of the three different chapters, I think people are going to maybe be a little bit torn on which portion is better. For me, the second chapter is kind of where it dragged a bit, because the third chapter has some really great, speechifying from Clarence. And the first chapter, I thought, kind of, brought us into that world pretty well. So for me, it sagged a bit in the middle. But would I have noticed that if they didn't break it up into chapters? I'm not sure. Like, it wasn't like it was, super boring or whatever, but since they did kind of break it into chapters, it's easy to say, okay, this chapter is better than this chapter or whatever. So that's just sort of how the filmmakers designed it. So that's how I felt about it. But your mileage may vary. Maybe, you thought, the first one's slow, or whatever. But that's where I was with it. But anyway, Stanfield does give a great performance, and for that, I do have to bump it up a little bit. But everything pretty much about this movie was just kind of fine. So I will leave the Book of Clarence with a C+. And like I said, you can stream that now on Netflix, and check out Samuel's other film, The Harder They Fall, with Idris Elba. It was about the cowboys in, I think it was Philadelphia, and it was like based on a true story. I thought that was really well done, and certainly more focused, I think, than this, but not as ambitious. So there is the case to be made for that. So, all right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.